Hi, welcome back to The Books Are Everywhere. We're on holiday. Welcome to the winter 2025 reading holiday. And before we start, I'm gonna just do a little rewind to me trying to find the books I needed to bring with me, and then we'll start the video. I've just been looking for books in these stacks. Just in these stacks. Completely forgetting there are boxes in here with books in them. So now I think I've been quite lucky to find all but one book I was searching for. So we're here. We've just arrived. We're getting the place comfortable for our reading. I will say this is possibly going to be less of a reading vlog this year, slightly. We still have a lot of books and a lot of reading to do. There's some of Courtney's books on the table over there. But we also I think we both just need a bit of a break from life. And we have Stardew that we want to play. Do we just want to play Stardew Valley? And maybe watch a TV show. Like, I'm reading The Road Trip at the moment, and I noticed that I kept getting ads for the Paramount adaptation of The Road Trip into a TV show. And I was like, maybe I should finally read it so we can actually watch the show, because on one of our reading holidays, we watched The Flat Share on one of our holidays before, so we might watch The Road Trip this time, which would be really cool. It's so beautiful here. If you haven't been around in the past year, or if you're new, or you didn't watch the video from last year's winter reading retreat, this is the same place that we stayed in last year. Me and Courtney have never stayed in an Airbnb twice, apart from this one, because it's beautiful and we couldn't imagine going anywhere else. And it's just perfect for winter. Like, it wouldn't be right for summer, we've said this, because we always like to have like outside space when we go away in summer. But for winter, this place is just, it has everything you need. It's just amazing. I'll give you a little tour. Here's the kitchen. Here's Courtney, she's making tea. Let me go up. So the door's here. You come into the kitchen, you go up a few steps, and then into this beautiful space. Table, sofa, my book. We always rearrange this a little bit, which we were just saying. We don't know how the host would feel about this. This lamp is in a different place and we move it. So we have it over the sofa. This is a table. We put many blankets on here. And then we bring my fluffy duvet so we can just nest on the sofa and put our feet up. And then we bring these little stools in as our side tables. There you go. It works for us. We have a beautiful view. So lovely. There's like a lake down there, there's a church over here, and then there's just the fields and the sunset. So many cute little things around here, like this guy who we loved last year and we love still. And then you go up a few more steps and a bedroom. Absolutely massive bed, which I'm very happy about. And beautiful view down there. Some little chairs and this bath. You can see why we come back here. It's just a massive shower. The skylights I just love. It's just beautiful. But yeah, we're gonna settle down, probably get some reading in before dinner, and then I think our plan is to chill out in the evening, play games, watch TV, whatever. But yeah, I think we're probably going to read for a bit now. Very happy to be back. First meal. I feel like I'm an evil villain sat on this rocking chair. I just need like a cat on my lap, or a seal like Wallace and Gromit. There's a Wallace and Gromit reference for anyone who watched Vengeance Most Foul at Christmas. Anyway, it is the second full day, third day we've been here. It's Monday? It's Monday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I realised that I haven't updated you guys, which I did last year as well. I didn't update you on the first full day. Because, you know, we're just here, we're reading. We're also not reading sometimes. Like playing Stardew Valley or watching The Road Trip. But yeah, I thought I should probably catch you up on what I have been reading. So, talking of The Road Trip, the first thing I read, but I actually finished, I was like halfway through this when we came on the holiday. So I finished this one when we got here on Saturday. Really loved this. This is Beth O'Leary, who wrote The Flat Share. It's one of her other books, or newer books. Is it like her third book, I think, maybe? This has got the switch on the Flat Share one, so I think I think it's the third.
Yeah.
And it's following Addie and Dylan, who are exes, and they end up travelling in a car together to a wedding. I read this because I've had Beth O'Leary's books for ages and I've only ever read The Flat Share. So I've needed to read more of hers for ages. I loved The Flat Share. Me and Courtney watched The Flat Share, the adaptation, which I can't remember if it's Apple or Paramount, but anyway. We watched that on one of our other reading holidays, and I kept getting adverts for the new Paramount adaptation of this. So that's what we're watching while we're away. It's only 6 episodes. We're enjoying it so far, but it definitely has some big differences to this. Like, this is set between the 2 different timelines. Like, it's set between now and then, so it's current when they're like trapped in this car on the way to this wedding, and then when they first got together. And you kind of find out about like how their relationship broke down and why they're now exes in this car. In this book, they are travelling to Scotland, and in the TV show, they're travelling to Malaga? I think he said Malaga in the last episode. Spain somewhere. Which is obviously a big difference. And they're also in a camper van in the show, and this is obviously in this little mini, I think. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was really good. It's got a lot of side characters as well, so there's a lot of other things going on. It does have some trigger warnings. I would look them up because I did not expect what was coming. So if you are going to read it, there is some really difficult parts of this book, but I feel like it also makes it what it is. And all of the characters have their own things going on. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I gave this one 5 stars. I then went on to read The Sad Ghost Club Volume 4 on Saturday evening. Courtney read this in the day, she borrowed this off me. And then I picked it up in the evening. It took me like half an hour to read because it is a graphic novel. This is the 4th volume of this series where these ghosts get together, and in the first one, I think it's just about these 2 ghosts who meet at a party, and then in the second one they set up this club. They probably set up the club in the first one actually, considering the series is called The Sad Ghost Club. In this one, it's the vacation episode. It's very sweet. They're just very easygoing and have a nice message behind them. So I think I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. The artwork is just really cute as well. And yeah, it's got lovely messages. And then yesterday, or did I start it on Saturday evening? Yeah. And then carried on with yesterday, I read This Is How You Lose the Time War by Gladstone, and I'm going to butcher this name. Amal El-Mohtar? Do you know how to pronounce that? This is about 2 agents. But are they both robots?
How do you describe this?
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of them as robots.
Definitely at least one of them is.
But
Red is.
I just consider
right?
kind of an entity.
Yeah, this is very conceptual. And it's about these 2, well, they're called agents in the summary, in the synopsis. They're rivals, they're in a war, and they end up writing letters to each other and they develop a bond between these letters. I don't feel like you need to really know anything more than that. I feel like this is a book, this is weird, you have to read this in its entirety to have an opinion about it. Like, as I read it, I was getting a lot more into it and I felt like I was developing this kind of connection with the characters, but I feel like you just have to read the whole thing. I don't know how else to describe it. I feel like if you start reading it and you're like, this writing's really not for me, it's not true. It's just a completely different book once you've finished it and once you've like read a lot of it. And you just develop this kind of connection with the characters, and I really, really enjoyed this. I think I gave it 4.5 out of 5. You gave it 5, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't know if I did like 4.5 or 5.
Yeah, it's just, there's just moments in here that are just like very beautiful. The writing is just absolutely stunning, it's very poetic, but yeah, as I said, it's just incredibly conceptual sci-fi. I really, really enjoyed it. Courtney read this when we were here last year, so that's why I decided to pick it up. And then the next thing I picked up is 5 centimeters per second and Children Who Chase Lost Voices by Makoto Shinkai, and I didn't realise that Children Who Chase Lost Voices is adapted by somebody else. So it's Asahi Akisaka who wrote that, which I didn't realise because I've read the novelisations of Your Name and Weathering With You and Susanna, and they are all, and 5 centimeters per second, they are all written by Makoto Shinkai during the creation of the films, like the development of the films. So he's directing the films and at the same time he's kind of writing these novelisations, and in the kind of letter at the end of this 5 centimeters per second, the story, he talks about how he's travelling to promote the film when it came out, and that's when he's writing this. From what I remember, I think 5 centimeters per second is more of a short than it is a full film. Why can I not remember the name for? Feature film. I think it's like half an hour long, but I can't remember, to be honest. I've read the manga of 5 centimeters per second, which is chunky, but it's like one standalone volume, and I have watched the film, but I knew nothing about Children Who Chase Lost Voices, and it's the only novelisation of his that I've read before I've consumed it in any other format, because there is a film of that as well, I believe. But yeah, that's adapted by somebody else, which was really interesting to read. I love 5 centimeters per second. Like, as on the second page, I just turned to Courtney and I was like, I love Makoto Shinkai, and she was like, you're on page 2. But just this bit just really got me when it describes the name of the story. It says it's how fast cherry blossoms fall, 5 centimeters per second, and then she goes on to say there's more where that came from. For rain, it's 5 meters per second. Clouds are 1 centimeters per second. 1 centimeter per second. And the other character is like, clouds, don't you mean that they don't fall like they're in the sky? And she says, no, they're made up of tiny raindrops after all. Clouds only look like they're floating because they're so big and far away. The droplets fall and get bigger and bigger until they turn into rain or snow and come all the way down to the ground. It's just so beautiful and so lovely. And 5 centimeters per second is like, it's such a grounded story because it's literally just about the friendship of these two very young characters throughout elementary and then middle school, and then as they grow up it kind of jumps a bit to follow him after he moves away. Follows him for a while, but from the perspective of a girl who has a crush on him, which is really interesting. And then it's following him as he's like moved back to Tokyo and he's an adult. And it's just really lovely, simple story about their connection. And then Children Who Chase Lost Voices is a lot different. It's a lot more magical realism and conceptual. And it's about a girl, again, like a young girl. She meets a boy who claims to be from a mythical land, and then he dies. He vanishes, and then she ends up getting kind of involved, that sounds wrong. She ends up getting involved with this teacher because the teacher is searching for the same mythical land because he lost his wife. There's this whole thing about them trying to get people back from the dead. And as I said, like there's this whole, obviously there's this mystical land, there's a mystical like creature who's like a bear but is not a bear, it's like a monster. Reading that made me understand where Suzume comes from, because Suzume is so different to Your Name. Like, I love Your Name so much. There's kind of magical realism elements to it, but it's very grounded. Then Weathering has more magical elements, and then Suzume is like very out there. It's more... I said to Courtney that Suzume is very much like Spirited Away, so if you want a description of where Suzume goes, it's a lot more magical and about different worlds, and I feel like Children Who Chase Lost Voices is in a way similar to that, and you can see how he developed from writing something like this to writing something like Suzume, which I also absolutely love. But yeah, I enjoyed that. I definitely enjoyed 5 centimeters per second more than I did Children Who Chase Lost Voices, but I'm interested to watch it or consume it in another medium. I very much just consume any Makoto Shinkai thing in any medium I can find, like manga, novelizations, I'll watch it, like whichever. But yeah, it's interesting reading something that is by Makoto Shinkai originally that's been adapted to a novel by somebody else. And I think I still have The Place Promised in Our Early Days to read, which is again adapted by somebody else. I've only just realised on the spine it's got 2 names and it says original story by Makoto Shinkai. So that's going to be interesting, because I think I presumed that maybe the other name was like for the translator or whatever. But anyway, I then picked up Midwinter Murder by Agatha Christie, which is a short story collection of like Christmassy / wintry settings. I've only read 2 so far, or 3 so far. I've read 3 so far, and I definitely, and I found this before, I enjoy the Miss Marple ones more than I do the Poirot ones. Yeah, I bought this with me thinking I can just dip in and out of it, because I am going to now put this down, because today our plan is, I'm very excited about this, to read Spectacular, which is a short story. It's a novella in the world of Caraval. It's also heavily illustrated and absolutely beautiful. Like, it has full colour, full like page illustrations. Very excited to delve into this. It's a holiday, Christmassy type novella with all of the characters in the Caraval world. Caraval is amazing and I love it. I'm very excited to be back in this world. And then we're going to pick up I Hear the Sunspot. This is volume 2 of 4 seasons. This is the most recent English translation anyway, so we're gonna pick that one up just for a little bit of manga. And then I have a whole stack that I bought with me. I'm gonna move on to the Bright and the Pale by, I think it's Jessica Rubinkowski. I might have just got her name completely wrong though. No, Jessica. Cool. I'm going to move on to that, which is actually a reread. I read that years ago. It's like a polar fantasy. Can't remember where it's set. I listened to the audiobook years ago and I never carried on to read The Wrath and the Mercy. It's only a duology. So I've decided to reread The Bright and the Pale physically and then read The Wrath and the Mercy, finally.
Are they adult or
YA, I think, yeah. It's been a while since I read Bright and the Pale, but I did really enjoy the audiobook and I remember it actually making me really emotional. So that's fun. Anyway, I'm going to go now because we are going to read Spectacular and we're very excited about it. Well, we just finished this. And the general consensus is...
What even is the general consensus?
what the hell have we just read?
Not what we expected at all.
Not at all what we expected, and I feel like we have to be the people that tell the world, the very few people that will watch this video, that this is not cute
or light-hearted.
Or anything we expect.
Or adorable.
All
these words people who have read it
and
are then describing it as.
In their reviews.
It's not.
It is not that.
It's not.
This is dark.
Yeah.
Questionable.
Consensually questionable.
And kinky.
didn't expect.
No.
Did not
And
expect
that's
going into it.
not to say that we didn't enjoy
No.
it.
Not to say I disliked it.
Most of it we really, really enjoyed.
Still enjoyable.
And being back in the world, beautiful.
Lovely, yeah.
Descriptions of the world, amazing. And I feel like there's just something about Stephanie Garber's writing that is just so
it's just
transporting and magical, and I love that. And I definitely felt like that with this, and the illustrations are absolutely beautiful.
Phenomenal.
However,
Illustrations were gorgeous.
Nothing about this synopsis gives you any idea of what's to come. Like Courtney just said, doesn't even say something will go awry or anything. It's literally just about them finding a gift.
Yeah, you think they're just like gift shopping like that, and you know that there's gonna be like a spectacular ball kind of party celebration or something.
And let me tell you,
it's barely about that at all.
I mean, can I just as an idea of what is possibly to come without spoilers in a sense, like,
enjoyable, definitely enjoyable. Just don't go into it thinking that it's light-hearted, cozy, cute.
no,
There is a tiny bit of that from Scarlet.
Yeah.
And it's also very much Teller and Legend.
Yeah, it's very...
I think going in we both thought that it might be like a fairly even split between the couples, but it's very much Teller Legend story.
Yeah, so as we both just said, I feel like we can kind of understand why this happens. And there is only one scene in it that has just made us both.
There's only like one little thing that we're like still uncomfortable with, but in a way can kind of be explained still.
I wouldn't say that I feel uncomfortable about what happens. I can understand like where it's coming from and feel like it's acceptable in the circumstances.
Yeah, like now that we've read the whole thing, all fine, I get it. But going into it and going through it was like, this was not what I expected at all, and like questionable. Yeah. Until you've finished it, I guess.
Yeah, and there is just that one scene that is still like sitting with us a little bit wrong. And like you said, it can be explained away, but it's a bit of a stretch.
I think the whole thing now can be like, okay, so like that's what's happened.
Yeah, like I wouldn't mark it down for being uncomfortable.
No,
like as I kind of expected, there is a mixture of like 1-star reviews and like 5-star reviews, and then there's some that sit in the middle, which is probably where we're both gonna.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how to rate it. I think like I just said, say if I was gonna give it like a 3 for story, then I'd bump it to a 4 for illustrations, because it is gorgeous.
Which as a book, like as an object, and a piece of art, it is just absolutely beautiful, and the illustrations are done so well and complement the story so well, and it's just so much attention to detail. And I think that's beautiful. So I feel like, as you said, it's probably a 3 for story and then a 4 with illustrations. I'd agree. But
it's more so just expectations, which happens a lot. Like you expect certain things going into a book, and it's just like misconstrued, like not false advertising, but like I guess to not spoil it, they've not put in the blurb or like advertising kind of what it's actually about.
I feel like this is a Court of Frost and Starlight.
Yeah, but then I was thinking of that.
With like a bit of 50 Shades just thrown in.
Yeah, just kind of chucked in there.
And
Kinky. Thought it was going to be cozy.
And it was kinky. I don't agree with the 5-star reviews on Goodreads saying adorable and cute.
76% light-hearted on Storygraph. It's not light-hearted.
No.
Like 1% of it is light-hearted.
Yeah.
When there's Scarlet.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, like Courtney just said, it was 76% light-hearted and 5% dark, and those need to be the other way around. So
none of this is negative as such.
No, just fair warning. If you're gonna read this,
just actual expectations. What this is actually about.
Yeah.
Good though.
It was
good. Still enjoyed it.
Just
unexpected.
unexpected.
Bit of a surprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks, Stephanie. We have finished another book, and as we were just saying, today's just been, well, as Courtney put it, vaguely traumatic.
Just vaguely.
Vaguely. I wouldn't say this is
Not
traumatic,
particularly traumatic.
but it wasn't heartwarming like we suspected. It was still enjoyable, but we just both felt like there was a lot of setup, and I am holding up to her now. There's a lot of setup in this. This is the 7th book in the series, What I Hear the Sunspot, which is basically just about a relationship between these two. They start out as teenagers in the first one, I guess.
Yeah,
Or one
I
of
think
them
they're
is.
teenagers.
I mean, I hope both of them are, but
Yeah,
one of them
I
is
think they
older.
are.
Taichi's older, isn't he? Yeah, because he's helping Kohei.
I thought Kohei's older, but Taichi just left education
Oh, okay.
sooner. But
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
Yeah, that makes it, yeah. Kohei's job searching and Taichi's are now a working professional. I don't know. But anyway, this is a lot about Taichi's relationship with his estranged dad. And that is the main storyline, but it also doesn't feel like that comes full circle. And then a lot of the other stuff that's going on around it feels like the start of other storylines. And apparently the next volume in this part of the series, which is 4 seasons, is coming out in June this year. So yeah, not sure what that's going to bring, but we'll see. The next thing I am going to start is The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubinkowski. Although I did just read a review for this from 2021, which is when I listened to the audiobook. And it turns out I actually didn't enjoy it as much as I remember enjoying it. Like, I thought I'd enjoyed it quite a lot. I knew I wanted to reread it before reading the second one. But it turns out I rated it 3.5 stars and said that I didn't have, like, an emotional connection to the characters as much as I wanted to. So I'm feeling like I'm going to give this, like, 100 pages. I'm already feeling like this is YA and it might be a little bit young for me now anyway. But I think there were just emotional moments in here that kind of vaguely got to me at the time, and I felt like I would have much more of an emotional connection with the characters if I'd read it physically. And that's why I wanted to try it again physically when The Wrath and the Pale came out, and then I've never carried on with it. So I'm going to see how I go with rereading this and see how I find it. And then I guess if I feel like I don't want to carry on with it, then we will assess the other options that I've brought with me, because there's still a lot that I haven't got to and I won't get to before I leave, and that's fine. I bought stuff to have options rather than imagine I'd get through all of it. So yeah, I'm going to start this next, read the first like 100 pages and then see how I feel about it. Hi. I started reading The Bright and the Pale, and as I did kind of suggest in my last clip, I DNF'd The Bright and the Pale. I read like 50 pages and I just feel like I didn't really care that much. Not that much happened, and I have read this before, and I just feel like I know reading it now that I'm not going to... It's going to be like 3 stars. I'm going to enjoy it in a way, but I could be enjoying other things a lot more. This is a lot thicker. And I looked at some reviews for this and they're quite negative, and they're both 3.41 on Goodreads. And I feel like that's not too bad for a debut, but for a sequel, normally sequels rate a lot higher because a lot less people read them and the people that read them are interested in reading them. Yeah, so I just feel like there's no point carrying on with it, which is sad because it's so pretty and I really wanted to enjoy it, and I feel like in a way I could have enjoyed it, but I didn't feel an immediate connection to these characters, and considering what I said in my review before about not feeling a connection to them at all, or not feeling a connection, as much of a connection to them as I wanted, I feel like I'm not really going to develop that much. There's not that much character development, you're kind of just thrown into the story, and I don't feel like that is going to come any later. So I've decided to put that down, which does mean that I'm not rereading this anymore, and this is no longer on my TBR, so it feels like a win, even though it's not in a way, but I'm glad that I'm doing this. Like, I've started being so much more harsh about what I'm DNFing. I never ever used to DNF anything. It was so rare that I wouldn't for like years, and I just forced myself through everything. And I feel like it just ends with you giving a lot of books like kind of 3 stars, where you've enjoyed it enough, but not enough to keep it, not enough to carry on with a series or whatever. And it's just like, there's no point when I have so many other books on my TBR that I want to read, and so many other books out there that I might potentially give 5 stars to, or 4, or really enjoy. And I think me and Courtney were talking about it, like the fact that my TBR hasn't shifted in so long is probably what's made me reach this point. And I also just feel a lot less peer pressure now. Like, if I'm not enjoying something and like other people did, so be it. And I think there's just like several reasons why I feel like I'm able to do that now, and I think that's a good thing. So yeah, aside, but that's why. So I went on to read The Wood at Midwinter. Courtney read this while I was reading my 50 pages of this. I feel like she finished it in like 10 minutes.
So good.
It's very quick. It's only 60 pages, but that includes the like essay at the back, which is the most text in here, because so many of these pages are like, it's genuinely like a fairy tale.
There's like 20 words per page.
Yeah.
It's just nothing.
But this is probably the most enjoyable thing I've read today. Like, it was just, it's strange, but I expected that. The essay at the back, if you do read the essay at the back, because it just gives so much more context to it, and it's substance to it, as Courtney said. And it was really interesting as a development for this story. But if you like Susanna Clarke's writing style anyway, like, we both really enjoyed Piranesi. So if you like her style anyway, then I feel like you will enjoy this as like a winter fairy tale type book. So yeah, it's like 52 pages or something, but so much of that is like illustrated. The illustrations are also beautiful, and yeah, I'm really glad that I picked this up for Courtney for her Christmas Eve book, and now I have been able to read it as well, which is cool. So yeah, I feel like I'm going to end the vlog here because we're leaving in the morning, and I don't think we're going to read much else. We're going to finish watching the road trip, have dinner, and then play Stardew for the rest of the evening, which I'm very excited for. I've been wanting to get back into Stardew for ages, and we're doing it on this holiday. We've just been spending the evening playing Stardew, which is it's great. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. I did start Midwinter Murder, and I'm like partway through that, but I don't feel like that's fine because they're short stories, so I will hopefully finish these soon, but I'm not too bothered that I'm like finishing this vlog having started this. And then I'm not sure what I'll go on to next, so I'm just gonna finish this vlog up here. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.